I'm back as promised, and I'm here to answer some more questions. So, before I get started, um, yeah, this week has been spring break, and I have been doing nothing pretty much except for working and sleeping because that's all I have really had energy for. Seriously, it's been insane. And even right now, as we speak, I am exhausted and I just want to go to sleep, but I cannot sleep. Like, it's ridiculous. I want to sleep like all the time, but my body just won't allow me to. And I haven't been feeling too well on top of that. So it's been an interesting week, and as much as I've wanted to do stuff, I haven't even felt up to doing anything. Um, my roommate's family actually came and brought her little, I guess, cousin over, and his name is Kyler, and he is adorable, and I always love playing with him. But I didn't even have the energy to like play with him while he was here. I just don't have any energy. But yeah, so I hope you guys are having a great spring break or have had a great spring break and that you're actually getting to do stuff because, that's kind of what spring break is all about. You know, well, in the student life. In the adult world, we have to still adult, but yeah. So, as far as the questions this week, I'm only going to answer two if I have time, because these are actually pretty deep questions, and so I don't know that I can fully answer them in the amount of time that I'd like to. So the first question is, are monsters created or born? I think that is, first of all, I'm going to say I really believe that that's a question kind of similar to which came first, the chicken or the egg. Um, it's really hard to determine because there's so much, and we learn about in my social work classes, we learn so much about psychology and the impact of the environment and really everything around you, on your psyche and how you were raised. And I mean, just everything impacts kids from the moment that they are born, and trauma can impact kids, stress can impact kids, it can impact adults. There's so much that goes into the human mind and human psyche that can impact everything, and it's insane some of the stuff that, you know, can impact one person, and then you apply the same circumstances, exact same circumstances, to somebody completely different, and it doesn't impact them the same way. So really, I think, the best answer I can give you is that I believe it can be either, or both. I know it's not really a very specific answer, but it's probably the best answer that I can give. Um, the reason why I say that is because I don't necessarily believe that any one thing can particularly determine how you are, you know? For instance, for me, I was by far not raised in the worst family, but I have had a lot of bad experiences in my past, especially involving my birth mother and some of the stuff that the way that she treated me, and my childhood, and stuff like that. So, it's all about rising above all of that, and if you are able to get past what has happened to you in the past, and get past the pain and the suffering and move on, then I don't believe you will become a monster. But I do believe that if you are not able to, that it can create something deep within you, that can create a monster. And I say that out of personal experience. I've had some very dark times in my life. I know that I'm only 28 years old now, and that's pretty young to experience a lot of the stuff that I have and that I have learned through my experiences. But I've been through some very dark times, and one of those being a time when I let an instance really fuel me, and I had hatred in my heart, and I really let that hatred fuel how I acted and reacted to things. And so I've seen what that can do. I've seen the potential that can be there if you allow it to. But it's important to be able to get past things that have hurt you. And I cannot stress that enough, because if you don't and you allow that hatred to fuel you, then that's when the monster comes out. So I guess back to the question, I really feel like it's a matter of both, as well as willpower. Because if you have the willpower to overcome, then you're gonna find a way. And that's very simple when discussing something like murderers or something like that, but it all stems from somewhere, and if you catch it early enough before the hatred fuels the fire, then I believe you can change that. So yeah, that's the best answer I can give to that. Um, the next question is, there's no way someone who can't even protect himself can protect anyone else, is there? And my answer to that is, life is full of surprises, and sorry, Socrates is trying to play with my arm, and so he's hitting it all over the place. Um, life is full of surprises, and so are people. And while you can predict, to a certain extent, you can predict your own uh, reactions to things, and you can have control over your own being, you can't have control over everyone else. So it's hard to say that you can protect even yourself, because while you can try your best to, it all depends on the circumstances around you and what's available and how the other people around you are and like what they can do, you know. So to say that if you can't protect yourself, you can't protect anyone else, I I do believe that to be true. Um, but I feel like that's true for anyone, because life is unpredictable and people are unpredictable, and you can't, unfortunately, say how somebody is always going to react to something, because even if you think you know them like the back of your hand, and they for the most part have reacted the same way repeatedly to the same instance, it doesn't mean they always will. That can change. There's certain things that can change, and unfortunately, no matter how much you want to protect yourself or protect somebody else, you can't, because there's so many factors that come in. There's so many things, just like I was talking about in the previous question. There's so many things that influence the way that people act and react, and environment and upbringing and beliefs, and there's just so much that goes into it. And so, no, you can't really protect somebody else if you can't protect yourself, but you can't really protect yourself either. Yeah, you can to a certain extent, but that extent is building up walls. But then at the same time, are you really protecting yourself if you're building up walls? Because all you're doing is not dealing with that emotion or that experience, and is that really protecting yourself, or is that harming, you know? So there's some food for thought, and keep the questions coming. They're very interesting. Um, some of the other questions that I'm going to be answering soon are pretty interesting. I skipped one because I'm gonna have to think on that for a while. I'll let you know. It was, what is your worst date that you've ever been on? I'm gonna have to think about that for a while because I've had some pretty interesting ones. But yeah. So anyways, I hope everyone is doing well. Hopefully you're not getting sick and you're having a great spring break. And I will see you guys hopefully next week if I'm not too busy. So peace out.